have also elaborated an initial set of policy recommendations and hope that our work in this area is beginning to benefit countries both through our policy dialogue and increased local currency lending, predominantly with the private sector. It is important to emphasize that this is indeed a dialogue, not a monologue. We do not have all the answers. To give but one example, should central banks supplement local currency funding to commercial banks while local capital markets and term deposits are still being developed? This is an area which we have recently had intense discussions, including with the National Bank of Kazakhstan. Such a role for central banks clearly involves risks, including undercutting the development of private domestic funding bases, but also opportunities such as jump-starting local currency lending. As long as the central bank's role is viewed as temporary and is part of a policy environment that supports de-dollarization, this may in turn create demands for more private local currency funding. We don't know at this point whether the benefits of such interventions outweigh the risks. In practice, this means that we are supportive of cautious experimentation in this area and have recently signed an agreement with the NBK that will give us the opportunity to be party to such an experiment. I understand that IFC and the Asian Development Bank are in discussions as well. I've focused my remarks so far on the importance of finding the right balance between international financial integration and local financial development. I've also outlined some benefits and challenges in creating local financial content. Before I close, however, it is important to emphasize one point. We at the EBRD are not arguing that local financial development is a panacea. Indeed, domestic financial development may create problems of its own. Clearly, very deep financial systems did not prevent the catastrophic crisis in advanced financial market in 2007 and 2008. This crisis originated in the most advanced domestic financial system of the world. Only then was it transmitted internationally. What I take from this is that financial development must go hand in hand with effective regulation. This has, of course, been widely recognized and acted upon following the crisis. The critical question in this context is again one of balance between mitigating risks and allowing growth. In my view, at least, the new bank capital and liquidity standards proposed under Basel III have this balance broadly right. But they have it right mostly from the perspective of the advanced countries, while possibly not sufficiently reflecting the state of financial development in emerging markets and developing countries, at least in some areas. To give one example, Basel III requires that long-term assets be matched by long-term liabilities, the so-called net stable funding ratio. This can cause severe problems in financial systems that simply do not yet have stable sources of long-term funding. It may force banks in these economies to either curtail long-term lending with harmful consequences for growth, or to seek foreign sources of long-term funding. But this, as we have seen, creates external vulnerabilities. For this reason, I'm pleased that under the new phase of the Vienna Initiative, a working group has been formed to analyze some of the implications of the Basel III regulations on emerging markets. EBRD and the World Bank co-lead this group. I hope that its recommendations will be a useful input to the ongoing revision of the EU's Capital Requirements Directive. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, fortunately, there is no contradiction between the challenge posed to us by the new regulatory reforms and the challenges that emanate from the broader post-crisis agenda. Both point to the critical importance of local financial development as a central pillar on which post-crisis growth model in the transition region and beyond must rest. This is why our conference is so critical. Of course, we will not solve all problems, but we will have a unique opportunity to discuss important facts of the problem, important facets as well, from causes to solutions to implementation in one compact and diverse forum. And let me add that we really particularly enjoy, Mr. Prime Minister, that you were kind enough to join us at the beginning of this meeting, because certainly Kazakhstan is one of those countries to which we look particularly in this regard. We have established, as I mentioned, a very good working relationship with your authorities and also with the members of government, of course, and with the central bank. So indeed, making progress in this debate and in this discussion should also serve, we hope, the cause of this very interesting and fast-growing country. So thank you very much, Prime Minister, that you were kind enough to accept this invitation. And I pass the floor back to Eric. Thank you, Eric.